Okay, let's give this another shot. My name is Jesse. That's the only name that I'm going to work under from now on. I'll be doing some things as I am producing this video, adding some titles and stuff, so you'll see me moving around the computer. Who am I? Who cares? Okay, so just some back history. I'll be cleaning this website up on YouTube. It's unfortunately that life just doesn't stop. It keeps going, and the harder that some of us try, the worse, or just some people in government continue to want to make a severe problem. In a previous in a previous video, I had mentioned that due to a world economic demands, the Republicans are obsessed with illegal immigration reform. When you look at it as just as a simple issue in the United States of America, there's no reason for Republicans to compromise so much. They're compromising their values, but they're also compromising support from conservatives. Who cares if Hispanics or people who identify themselves as Hispanics support Republicans when Republicans lose the majority of their support among conservatives? If they lose their support among conservatives, they're never going to get elected again for the rest of their life. And those of us who work hard at this issue, and the reason that we work hard at it, because it's important. When you look at society, any society, doesn't matter, American society, Mexican society, Canadian, French, doesn't matter. When you look at any society, you got to understand that the value of that society is directly related to the value of its citizens. And I, through personal experience, have seen the moral character and the ethical character of Mexicans. And it's not a hard issue to discern, to dissect, to analyze, to understand. And the important issue is that Americans, not politicians and not business people, everyday Americans are allowing their country to be sabotaged by business people and by politicians and by special interest groups that promote these issues. And the question being is, are you going to allow them to do it? We're still here. I've written papers on this. I've done video essays on this. We're still here. We're going to be here for a very long time. I know that people are waiting for the second coming of Jesus Christ, and it probably would be a good thing for those who believe in Him. But the reality is that as long as we're here, we have the responsibility of taking care of what rightfully belongs to us. My life belongs to me. The only way I can rightfully take care of my life is to have the opportunity to gain an income. Now, I can educate myself. I can educate myself and learn how to grow vegetables and fruits and maybe take care of some animals and take an animal's life to eat. But right now I'm involved in what I call the modern industrial complex, which is working, and I can live out the rest of my life very easily, engaged in this environment without any problem whatsoever. But when politicians cause an $18 trillion debt that can only be paid down by the increase in taxes, which that's going to affect me. That's going to affect the amount of opportunities that exist, the amount of advantages that exist. It's going to affect how people are motivated or inspired, or their own spirit. The human spirit is going to be affected because this high debt is going to interfere with the ability of businesses to invest in themselves, to grow, and to offer opportunities. When you're going to be a college student, you need a part-time job. When you graduate, you're going to want a job. If you don't want to go the employment route, the career route, you may want to start your own business, be a business investor in yourself, or in investing in Wall Street, or whatever the case may be. If you have a government that is stealing the majority of tax dollars from people, that's not going to be possible, because employment and jobs, even business opportunities, business investment opportunities, come from these corporations, which are going to be, shackled to high taxes in order to pay the mess that the politicians made. You and I didn't make it. You and I had nothing whatsoever to do with. Let me see here, man. You need to. More comfortable. You and I had nothing to do with a high debt, with the conditions that led to the high debt. That was a favor done for us by the politicians. And why are we being held responsible for it? Now, I like to stay focused. That's one of the things that I learned, while I was started to write. Is stay focused, stay on the subject. And the subject today is balance in life. We have to understand that we still have all our responsibilities of life. We still have to be healthy people. We still have to get our sleep. We still have to get our meals. We should exercise. Balance in life. We should have friends. We should have family, a special romantic interest, children, raising of children, and doing it in a good spirit. If you are a product of modern society, of our modern society, you're going to come to the impression that life sucks, and life doesn't suck. Music, television, movies gives you the impression that a lot of life sucks. If you pay attention to politics, you can't, you can't, man, is it a coffee in there or what? If you pay attention to politics, you get frustrated. But the balance is to continue doing what you're doing in life in a good spirit. There's no reason to get agitated, upset, angry, disappointed, whatever you want to call it. There's no reason for it. It's a hard responsibility. The politicians aren't going to listen. Let us just go ahead and admit that to ourselves. This is going to be a fight. You go and take something from somebody who believes that they have the rightful ownership rights of that property. You're going to get into a fight. These Republicans happen to believe that they don't have to do anything that we tell them. I don't pay that much attention to Democrats, because Democrats really, what are you going to get from a Democrat? Welfare. All Democrats know is welfare, food stamps, government housing, a public education system that doesn't work. That's not a negative, that's a reality. I was having a discussion with a person, and I was pointing out some realities, and he says, well, all you're doing is being negative. No, when you're looking at the truth, you're not being negative. The example that I use is, if we were going to go to a safari, we would want to know where the dangerous animals are, like the lions, water buffaloes, hippopotamus. Am I missing a lot? But it doesn't matter. We'd want to know where those animals that can kill us are. Are we being negative? No. We're being realistic. We're understanding the truth of being in a safari. And the truth about our concrete jungle, if you want to call it that, is that we have reached a point in time in American history where politicians, Republicans, so I don't care about Democrats. I'm never going to convince a Democrat not to be a Democrat. I know that. I'm never going to convince a Democrat not to be a Democrat. And politics do matter. And a lot of people stay on the sidelines. And they do whatever they do on the sidelines, and things get worse. And here we are today, 2014, almost a month, less than a month, by days, for the next midterm congressional election. And what is that going to mean? I personally think it means that it either will mean that Americans are paying attention, that they recognize the danger that they're in, that they can see what problems are coming from not managing their government. I use the term micromanagement. It doesn't need to be micromanaged. Excuse me. Every day, Republicans need to hear from the public in the form of an email, a phone call, a written letter, or a visit. They need to understand that the majority, the 150 million, 190 million people who are reasonable, rational individuals who do not like high debt, who understand that it's better to leave the power in the hands of the individual. Government isn't doing you any favors by taking your power away from you. Government is hurting you. You're going to be limited in opportunities and advantages. If you want to look at a simple one, look at healthcare. Government is going to make the decision whether you are an actual valuable person and whether you deserve to be given life-saving treatment or just given, pain management till the inevitable happens. In a free market society, if you want to purchase the greatest healthcare that will give you 10 seconds more of life, you should be able to do that. And if that advanced medical industry can give you 10 years or 20 or 30 more years and you have the ability to purchase it, you should be able to do that in life. Government shouldn't limit you. You should be able to interact in the free market and purchase the healthcare that you want to purchase. Excuse me. But the outlook in life, it's a very dangerous outlook. It's true, if you spend your time saying everything sucks, nothing works, why bother, you're going to end up with a very poor life. And I'm not talking poor in monetary sense. People like Bill Gates aren't the only people that can be happy. If you have a balance in life, if you understand life, if you understand what you're doing with your life, if you understand about being a positive person, having a good spirit, taking care of yourself, paying attention to your life, then you can have the same life that they have. You don't need to have the money that they have. Happiness doesn't cost. Joy doesn't cost. Peace and love does not cost. It's built in to the human system, the system that God built. But right now, to me, it's a great concern. It's always been a great concern what people think. I can't believe that individuals honestly believe that what they are doing is correct. It is your country. You have to take care of it. You have to register to vote. You have to vote. Doesn't matter how annoying politics is. It doesn't matter how little respect you have for politicians or corrupt business people or special interest groups. That does not matter. What matters is the result, is the conditions, the consequences that you're going to be living under if you don't get involved. There are very serious consequences to not getting involved. $18 trillion national debt is just one of them. Politicians that don't care what the people think, it's a very big one. People feasting on the carcass of America is another one. All these individuals who don't want to work, who feel they're special, and they can live off of government, no matter how hard you and I work, how much taxes we pay, how much of our life is complicated by their irresponsibility. That's another problem. I would hate to be at the mercy of government assistance, because all you can do, you can only work with what government gives you. And in reality, government never gives you that much. You're not going to have balance in life. I think this last presidential election, I was talking to a married couple, and I told them it has to be sad to live a human experience where you no longer have hope, you no longer have dreams, you no longer have ambition, you no longer have passion. You're dead inside and you're nothing more than a zombie. And that's what comes from government dependency. First of all, you don't have any ideas, because any idea that you can possibly have is going to be limited. At least the success of making the idea work is going to be limited by the financial assistance that you get from government. And government doesn't give you all the money in the world. You get a miserable sum of money when you're relying on government. And that excuse me. And that's sad, that people would like to have a fulfilled life, a pleasant life, an enjoyable life, but the only thing they're getting is spiritual death. And again, these messages are put into our heads by the media of our environment, magazines, newspapers, radio, television. They say if you don't have this, then you can't be happy. And you go around chasing some foolish dream, and at the end of it, you realize it had nothing to do with who you are. You chased their dream. You did what they told you to do. You got their high school education. You got their university education. You went to their job. But when it came down to you, the unique individual, who probably wanted to be, a nurse, and ended up some marketing representative somewhere, you didn't get fulfillment because of the messages that you received. And for a long time, I'm sitting there and asking myself, the calendar year is 2014. I started articles and video essays back in 2000. Why should I continue? One, I haven't been consistent. Well, I've been consistent on writing, especially when hard issues come up. The hard issue right now is that you're seeing not that much in the news. The obsession with Ebola, you're seeing that because politicians don't want you paying attention to the midterm elections. Every 2 years, every representative in the House of Representatives of the United States of America has to run for re-election, and 1/3 of the Senate has to run for re-election. President Obama has been, yelling and screaming of how much the Republicans don't allow him to do. But the reality is, we would be in a worse situation if it was Obama and Democrats spending and causing a worse financial crisis for the country. Not that Republicans have been great. What people call the loyal opposition. It's troubling when America is yelling at the top of their lungs they don't want illegal immigration reform, and the Republicans seem to want to force it on Americans. If you had a systematic, functional system that allowed you to get doctors, engineers, lawyers, quality individuals in the marketplace, in the modern marketplace, I would still tell you not to do it. You have a very poor dropout rate. You have a society of individuals who have decided mediocrity isn't low enough. Let's reach for something lower. And you can't have a successful society that way. Somebody's going to have to come in and tell the American people that, you know what, you're going to have to work for something. You're going to have to reach for something great. Sitting around and entertaining yourself on your iPhone or your iPad and not doing anything of substance, one, isn't healthy for you, and two, is not healthy for society. First, fix the American educational system to where every child has an opportunity at great education. Not conditioning to liberal politics. That's not what the public education system is for. Whether a person falls in love with science or art, doesn't matter. It's the individual choice. But if you have an educational system that just doesn't work and doesn't produce educated individuals, you have no right to be importing them. You have to fix that educational system. And it is part of balance in life. Because in our modern, even if we were not in this modern industrial complex, if we were in an agricultural system, you still have to teach people how to deal with cows and pigs and chickens, how to grow corn. So education, no matter what society you're in, is important. And there are people who are still reaching, who are still dreaming, and those people are beating you. Americans, Chinese are beating you, the Japanese are beating you, and you're going to have to forgive me for saying this, but even the people of Mexico are beating you. They're still engaged in life. They're still seeing what it is that they can do. Now, granted, a lot of what the people of Mexico want to accomplish, they want to accomplish by stealing American resources. But they still have ideas. They're still, dreaming and working to make those dreams come true. The people who have decided to stop dreaming, for whatever reason, are Americans. Have we gotten, in this country, are we just so comfortable that we no longer believe in being greater? That we no longer believe in maintaining basic standards? Is American society completely collapsing? There used to be numbers that you could look at, like the unemployment rate, but Obama seems to want to mess with the unemployment rate. You're not being told the truth. It says the last report that was the unemployment rate is at 5.9. It's not at 5.9. It's probably at 20%. And the reason being is that a whole bunch of people have just decided to stop working, looking for work. Obama doesn't count the people who have given up. What kind of society are we going to have where 96 million people have decided to give up? Have decided not to work? There's a lot that we can do to help America continue to be great. I do believe we need to be healthy people. In order to be healthy people, we need to have balance in everything. In diet, in exercise, in friends, in family, in personal interest, in what I call, I remember what I call it. The older I get, the more I forget. Simple pleasures of life. That's what I call it. And then I've added healthy, simple pleasures of life in a 24-hour cycle. So our day is an enjoyable, pleasant day. It's a relaxing day. It's not a day where we're lamenting our existence or where we're at war with ourselves. A lot has happened. That is beyond question. A lot of stress. And there are people who have an inner struggle and who would desire not to have that much pain and suffering. And we as a society can offer the people of our society everything that they need. Good mental health treatment, the best treatment for heart problems. Right now the politicians are making a big mess. And the business people, I'm going to be honest with you, the problem with American healthcare right now, as I see it, was the businesses who just wanted to keep getting more and more and more. Lately the simple concept that I came up with just by meditating on the issue is you need to have choice. The consumer has to have choice. If you own company A and you're a miserable company owner, what's going to put you out of business or what's going to make you decide to be a better business person is losing your customers. When you see your customers go to company B, you're either going to decide to be a better service or product provider, or you're going to go out of business. That controls the quality of the service and the product, and it controls the price. When you don't have that ability to influence the market, you're not going to get quality services and products. An insurance supported industry like healthcare, there is no respect of the consumer from the service provider, the product provider. And even though these large medical corporations, large insurance companies wanted to continue to make a profit, there was nothing saying that they had the right to do it. But the missing link was the consumer. It's almost like they play us for suckers. They give us a bunch of information that gets us emotionally, conditioned to certain ideas, and we don't think through things. And in order for the human race to continue, it is the American people who are going to have to use their healthy brains to come to some common sense conclusions and set some standards for society that will help them as individuals, help their society, and also help the world society. It's sad what people will allow to happen to them when they develop a negative attitude. Very sad, very tragic. A lot of human suffering, I know this for a fact. I did study psychology, and I know and what concerns me the most is the pain and suffering, the mental pain and suffering of a lot of people. But I know the difference. The discriminating factor is attitude. We don't have to be depressed. We don't have to be filled with anxiety. And I know that a lot of what we feel and what troubles us, our inner struggle, comes from the information that we receive. We're attempting to balance what we can accomplish with the information that we're given. You cannot be a slacker and expect to graduate from high school. You may not value a high school education. In our modern world, I would have to say that that's one of the messages. Education is not valued. An emphasis on graduating from high school, from college, is not made in our. You look at your television programs, you look at your movies, and you have these dummy movies where people go to school, go to college, to drink and to have sex. When have you seen a movie about a person? If you see a movie about a person who goes to college and quote unquote succeeds, there's going to be some liberal author that espouses a bunch of liberal ideas, about free love and whatever. But it's not going to be realistic. I'm not going to say there's the war between religion and psychology, but psychology pays very little attention to religion, and religion doesn't consider psychology anything of any great importance. I know it's a blanket generalization, but I don't see the dichotomy, the diversity. I don't see the difference, that great of a difference between psychology and religion. I think that God made us with certain operational functions, and if those operational functions are not met, then we're not happy people. As complicated as this crazy world is, let me say that as complicated as this crazy world looks, it's possible to be a person of peace, be a person of love, and be a person of joy. The only thing is where do you put your emphasis? The last video that I wrote, it was about who is it that we're paying attention to? Are we convinced that it's hopeless because of the actions of the politicians? If all we're doing is looking at what they're doing in order to get the instructions on how to live our lives, then we really are failing. Because no matter what they do, they really don't have that great power to affect our spirit, to affect our vision of life, how we see life. And hopefully we want to see a life that will be pleasant, enjoyable, something worth living. But if we see the mess that they're making and we convince ourselves, well, they've made a mess, there's no reason to try, we're not going to live that great of a life. And there are consequences. The balance in life is having everything that is healthy: friendships, family, interests, hobbies, music, literature, meals. A day, we should dedicate ourselves today to have a healthy, happy day by exercising balance with healthy, simple pleasures. What what is out there in the future that needs to be managed and controlled does need to be managed and controlled, but it shouldn't affect our spirit today. We do have credit cards to pay. We do have a certain income that we need to earn. But that shouldn't be taking away our positive spirit. That shouldn't be taking away our healthy spirit. It shouldn't be taking away our happy spirit, our peaceful, joyful, loving spirit. We should still be able to say that life is great, even though we're looking at the actions of miserable, horrible politicians. All of this is a challenge. See? We can have our happy, healthy lives and still deal with these miserable, good-for-nothing politicians. If you haven't been seeing Obama in the last couple, let's say a week, and his nonsense political garbage, I mean, you have a country with $18 trillion national debt. You have 96 million people who just have decided not to work for whatever reason. I think it's pretty pathetic, irresponsible. It's rude and offensive that they can decide not to work, fully understanding that means my burden and the burden of everybody else who works is going to be harder. And they have no respect, they have no empathy or sympathy for the people who are working. They should go out and get a job no matter what the job is. You have no right to sit home and you know, and eat. If you don't work, you shouldn't eat. You definitely shouldn't be eating because you're taking money out of my wallet. But beyond that, I believe that there's still hope. I believe that Americans can still do what is necessary to rein in their government, set some social standards and some personal standards to create a great society. And by doing so, you help America, you help the individual in America, and you're also able to inspire and motivate people around the world. We're close, we're already good at close, we're near the point where we can destroy ourselves. Realizing on these systems like the federal government, United States federal government, or the county government, or the city government, is becoming a point where by doing so, we're jeopardizing our own lives. And we're jeopardizing the life of the human experience. And much effort isn't required. How hard is it to vote? How hard is it to register to vote? How hard is it to research the candidate, especially now? I was having a conversation with a person, and again, Catholics love their religion. The subject of the conversation was, why are there different types of religious philosophies? And I know the answer to that question is because Satan, who we call the enemy, wants to have people as confused as possible so they never make the right choice and focus on the right God. See? The lie of Satan is Buddhism. The lie of Satan is Hindu. The lie of Satan is Islam. Now, the Catholic Church is built on Christian principles, but if you have conversations with people who come from the Catholic Church, you'll understand that they're missing a crucial, important part. And you'll never educate them over that. It's like Mormons. If you've listened to Glenn Beck, the happy little Mormon, you know, he brags about how much he's read, how much he's studied, self-taught man. You think that a person who goes out to read and learn on his own would want to know the truth about God and God's system of justice. Mormons are going to be bitterly disappointed, and so are many Catholics. And for that same, line of thinking, so are many people who call themselves Christians. But it isn't hard to be educated. I was telling this person who was having this conversation about, why there's many different philosophies. I tell them, look, I got a degree from Liberty University, which is a Christian degree university, and I kept looking for information. The advantage of the modern world with internet, with YouTube, is that you can find quality information if you know how to look for it. And I found the documentaries on how the King James Bible came about, why it's called the Authorized King James Bible. I'm not these kind of individuals who just hears something and repeats it, or comes up with some convoluted way of thinking and thinks it's the smartest thing that's ever been said. I will do the research. And on the King James Bible, on Christianity, actual Christianity, not what is in what people, Jehovah's Witnesses or Seventh-day Adventists or let me think here, Mormons, think is Christianity, or even Catholics. It's not about my truth. It's about God's truth. And if you want to know God's truth, you need to read the Authorized King James Bible. The same for politics. You can have, let's say you dedicated yourself 20 minutes a day. You don't have to dedicate the whole day. Just 20 minutes a day to research the candidates. Research Rick Perry, Sarah Palin, Rand Paul. I can run down to you, and that is part of a balance in life, because we have to take responsibility for society. You and I don't get to do what we want to do if we don't take care of society. Our dreams, our goals, our ambitions, our passions in this world, in this modern industrial society, can only be accomplished if there are opportunities and advantages, if there are jobs, there are careers, if there are investment opportunities. And if we let the politicians create such a financial mess that businesses give up on the American business environment, then you're not going to have those opportunities. So we'll be the ones suffering the consequences. So it is important to dedicate a little bit of our time to be involved, to understand the candidates. Now, I was going to say, I can run them down for you as I see them. As far as I am concerned, Sarah Palin does have administrative experience, and the greatest thing Sarah Palin has for her is her honor, her integrity. Everybody else that I'm going to tell you about has compromised themselves politically for the sake of politics. Will Sarah Palin run? Pretty sure she won't. She has no confidence in the support of the Republican Party, but she shouldn't care about the support of the Republican Party. She should care about the support of the average individual that will support an honest candidate. You can trust a person who would tell you, this is what I believe in. People playing political games and changing their speech depending on what audience they're talking about, you cannot trust those people. That's Obama. Obama said one thing and he did another thing. Well, he said one thing. He said a lot of things and he's done a lot of other things. And it's hurt America. It's hurt the American spirit. It's hurt ambition of the individual. But okay, so who else do we got? You got Rick Perry. Trying to look like a conservative, but supports the DREAM Act, which is giving children who are brought into this country illegally the opportunity of high school education and a college university. If you're not willing to take yourself seriously, other people will not take you seriously. If you don't enforce your own immigration laws, other people will not respect your immigration laws. That's how simple that is. So that's my case against Mr. Rick Perry. Who anybody doesn't Rand Paul, same thing. And not only that, lately Mr. Rand Paul has been a little too close to the Republican Party. It is obvious to me that his actions are actions directed by the power center of the Republican Party. And right now, the power center of the Republican Party is a major problem. The same thing, I can say the same thing for Marco Rubio. Who am I? Well, right now, that's who they're talking about. Rick Perry, Rand Paul, Marco Rubio. Am I missing any? Oh, I think this guy is Chris Christie, I think is his name. New Jersey guy. The overweight New Jersey guy is the best that I can describe him. It's over him. It's not even a reason for him to run. There has to be, there just has to be one person, two people, because you need a president, you need a vice president. Two people that you can trust, that you know will tell you, I believe in small government, I believe in low taxes, I believe in no national debt, I believe in the strong national defense, I believe in the human life, in the sanctity of human life, and they've told it to you, and you can believe them, you can trust them. You know that when they're going to be in office, the balance between president and Congress will be directed by this president who does have values and will stand up for those values. And in order for us to have a balanced life, in order for us to have a society that functions and works, we have to live a healthy life, but we also need to be civically involved. That's part of a balance in life. And we're seeing everything that happens when we don't pay attention, when we don't employ the necessary force for these politicians to listen to us. There was going to be, I'm going to criticize, I've waited on criticizing them, but I'm going to criticize them. There was a group of people who were going to have a demonstration against illegal immigration demonstration. And they didn't have it because somebody went to Facebook and posted a threat of violence. That's pretty poor, in my opinion. Who are you afraid of? Just so you know, I'm going to let you know, just so you understand this principle and you never forget it. Mexican drug dealers are not going to walk on American soil and kill Americans. Just so you know. They're not that stupid. They understand that if they were ever to do that in such a fashion, in such a group act, that the whole force of the American military will land on top of them a second later. If at any point in time any Mexican attacks a group of Americans exercising their constitutional right of free speech and the right to redress their government, there will be nothing stopping the American military from wiping them off the face of the earth. And they understand that. They understand that the country that you do not mess with is the United States of America. In the shadows, they'll do anything they want because they're supported by politicians. Here in El Paso, Texas, all right, I'm going to relax. I'm not going to get angry. Here in El Paso, Texas, you have a lot of people in Border Patrol uniforms, customs uniforms, sheriff's uniforms, police uniforms, who are sympathizers of Mexicans, who turn the other way when they see something that they know is a person in the country without the legal right to be here. It is upsetting because I understand that in order to have a successful society, you have to have respect for rule of law. You need law and order. You need justice. You need the people of Mexico to respect American borders. But when you got people in your own government looking away, turning the other way, refusing to do their job, And it's even worse when they're there assisting them. And the stop to that kind of behavior is citizen involvement. In life, I know we wish that I know we would like it to be different, and that we should just be enjoying ourselves and having a great old time and not being troubled by any of this. But the reality is that on top of having the life that we want to have, we have to add to that civic responsibility. We're not out to get anybody. Everybody can have the life they want, as long as freedom, liberty, and independence are alive and well in America. There's nobody today being denied a job because of their homosexuality. There's nobody being denied entrance into a university because of their homosexuality. There's nobody being denied health care because of their sexuality. There's people who have made it a point to attack businesses who make wedding cakes. Not having a wedding cake made by this group of people in America is not a problem. Everybody has access to health care. Everybody has access to employment. Everybody has access to education. Everybody has access to housing. There are greater issues in America than the issues they're telling us are the issues of America. The issues of America are the $18 trillion national debt. The issues of America is you have countries that may not be so forthcoming with information because of the way the American government has acted against them. And right now you need a lot of counterterrorism, exchange of counterterrorism information. But you have a government that in America is dysfunctional and is jeopardizing, not just it is jeopardizing all our lives, but it's also jeopardizing the stability of society. $18 trillion national debt is jeopardizing the stability of society, and is directly interfering in your ability to make your dreams come true. It's creating a pathetic public education system. I'm surprised at people who still believe that the public education system can be something great. It's over. It's done with. It's the zombie. It's the Walking Dead. And it's we the people who need to fix it, not them. We know what they want to do with it. We know very well what they want to do with the public education system because we can see it. The current status of the public education system is because of those people who are in charge, who are manipulating the elements within government to have this educational system. And it is the people who have to stand up and say, enough of this garbage, enough of this messing around, enough of all this money dedicated to public education. And look what we're getting. We're getting a poor, graduation rate, where people are coming out with poor attitudes, who are questioning the basics of life. If you don't want to live a life of traditional values, don't live a life of traditional values. But don't attack people who have traditional values. You want to live your life, live your life. Leave other people alone. So, to close this, we can have balance. We can have an enjoyable life, everything that we want to have in life, and a society that is not attacking us. And part of that balance in life is being civically responsible. You have to know who your candidates are. You have to know the issues. You have to register to vote. You have to vote. You have to stay in constant contact with your elected officials. It's do or die time. If bad choices are made on November 4th, 2014, in the midterm congressional elections of the United States government, we will suffer the consequences for many decades. And after that, of course, is the 2016 presidential election. Another reason to get upset. I personally don't believe that Hillary Clinton will be the candidate for the Democrats. I don't think she makes it out of the primaries. But we'll deal with that issue when that issue presents itself. Thank you for listening, and I wish you well.